yes, I know it is extremely dusty, and my cable management also kind of sucks, so don't judge me for that, but I'm going to get it set down on its side, and then you're just going to see my hands, because I'm not going to be recording myself, really. I'm just going to be recording the computer. So, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get right into it. Okay, so first, before I get into the video, I did want to do this. I already had the glass. The glass panel was already off, but I put it back on because it sounds really nice. Okay, so you might not have a glass panel on your computer, but you're going to have a panel, and usually it's only held in by a couple of screws. You just unscrew them like so, and then for me, this is going to be hard to do with one hand, but this panel actually just pops right off. It is absolutely disgusting because I have my leg against it often, so it has like oils and stuff on it, which is gross. So I'm not going to show you that. But then you've got all of the internals of your PC. And I do want to mention that a couple of tools that I have are a screwdriver, a special tool for my CPU. You'll see why I need that in a minute. But I also bought some brand new thermal paste. I did have old thermal paste, but I didn't want to use the old stuff because why use old stuff when you can use new paste and be sure that it's going to work correctly? I think the old stuff I had was like a couple years old, so I just didn't want to risk it. And then I have rubbing alcohol because you're going to have to clean off the old paste off of your CPU. I have some Q-tips to help aid in that process, and then you can use like cotton swabs or cotton pads to also help with that. So get your panel off of your PC, and then I'm going to move you guys in closer so you can see what I'm doing. This video is going to be pretty bright. It's going to be very bright because of this light, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. So I have a couple of connectors for my fans, which are actually tucked away on the back side, so unfortunately I have to lift this whole thing up and take the panel off the back, so I'll show you that, but I'm going to go mobile with the camera here. As you can see, I have a connector right here, which I can just pull it off, like so, and then all the other connectors actually go behind the PC panel. Like I said, I do have one more right here actually. Perfect. So this is just two fans, and each fan has two different connectors, probably for power and then also for fan speed. So I'm going to lift this guy up and then I'll show you the back side of my PC. Also, my PC weighs like 80 pounds, so again, you've got two little screws back here just like on the front panel, and this back panel is made of metal versus glass. Okay, I have a door that I just open up and it exposes everything on the back side. I'm going to remove this because it wants to shut. I'll just take that off, and now you can see exactly what I'm talking about here. I do have this sort of organized a little bit, but my wire management skills are subpar, so don't judge. I'm not going to be able to get the best view of the back side of this. Okay, so my two wires for my fans actually go around the back, and I have them tied up here, and then they go back through the front, and I unhook them in the front. But I think what I'm actually going to do is just unplug them and slide the pins through the Velcro so I don't have to undo this whole thing. of course I had to remove the Velcro because these would not fit through like I thought that they would. I think these are just for the LEDs. Just push these on through like so. It's a lot easier for you because you have two hands. But I'm just going to push those through, and then we can go back to the front of the case. So back at the front, you will have, this might look different for you if you have an older CPU or an older computer in general. You might not have as crazy or complex of a cooler as I do, but you really just want to grab your wires and tuck them out of the way. And I have little brackets that hold the fan on to the cooler, and all you do is pull them. You have to kind of pull forwards and back, and you can just undo it like that. It's not very difficult. You can look up a different video if you want to actually know how to do it, but it's not hard. Unfortunately for me, my graphics card is in the way. And this is a really big graphics card, so I can't get my finger down to undo that, which is a big problem. So I think I actually have to remove my graphics card as well. And that sucks. But I'm going to do it anyways because I think it'll make things easier for me. I guess we're just going to remove the graphics card. So in order to do that, just unplug the pins on the top or the side of your card. This one takes three different cables, and yours might not take this much power. Mine is kind of crazy because it's a huge graphics card. I also have a support bracket to hold it up so it doesn't sag. But then you've got some screws. I don't know if you can see those or not, but there's some screws right here that you have to undo, and a couple of different things on the side here. I'm not going to show you this because you probably won't have to remove your graphics card, but I'm going to cut to the part where I have this out and I can get rid of these or remove these fans. Okay, so that's no easy task with a large graphics card, but at least you can easily see now what I'm talking about with these little brackets. You just pull outwards and pull it back, and just like that, your fan should slide right out. And go ahead and do that with the other fan as well. Now we're at the bare bones of the cooler. And as you can see, I have a screw right here and one back here. So get your Phillips screwdriver and go ahead and loosen those screws. They are spring loaded, and it's probably best to loosen them evenly. So just go back and forth until the cooler finally becomes free. And it's almost there. And it's there. Okay. And then all you gotta do is just remove the cooler, just like so. And one little tip, this isn't the case for me because I can already feel that it's loose, but instead of just pulling the cooler up, sometimes the thermal paste is stuck on the CPU, so it's best to twist the cooler slightly as you're pulling upwards. You really don't want to tug it because that thermal paste could create a suction on the bottom of the metal pad for the cooler, and it could rip your CPU out of its socket, which is really bad. So give it a little bit of a twist if it's giving you resistance, and then slowly pull upwards. Like so. I can already tell I applied plenty of thermal paste, so I already think that this is not even the issue. However, I'm going to clean it up and I'm going to reapply paste anyways because we're already here. By the way, if you have an AM5 CPU, it's going to look probably different than mine. This black anyways and just inspect underneath and then reinstall it, just to make sure, because you want to remove any possible problems so that you know that you can look in a different area. We're going to go ahead and remove this, and it's just 4 Phillips screws. They're not super long, or at least I don't think they are. Again, yours might look different than mine. You might not even have these brackets. I'm just going to take these little dowel looking things off, and that screw's not out all the way. There we go. The next step is to clean up the paste off of this CPU and then also off of the bottom of the cooler. I'm going to grab my isopropyl alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and my Q-tips and whatever else you want to use to wipe this clean. I will say these AM5 CPUs are a heck of a lot harder to clean because they have these little ridges on them. So you have to get inside each little area with alcohol on a Q-tip to get it all off. Okay, I'll call that good enough. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Just get as much of it off as you possibly can. And now it's time to clean the bottom of the cooler itself. So same process. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove these 4 bolts. This is not something you'd be doing. I'm just doing it because I want to make sure it's all good underneath. I got this surface nice and clean. As you can see, it's super shiny. I did notice there's a couple of nicks and scratches on it. I'm not sure why, but that's no big deal because when I get the thermal paste on it, it's going to seal up all of those abnormalities. That is good to go, and we're going to remove that now. The AM5 board requires, it's a special type of Allen. It's like a star bit, and it's a 6-sided star bit. This came with this little kit that I bought. So I'm just going to remove each of these in a crisscross pattern and see if everything is good underneath, which it should be. I'm not expecting to see anything wrong. I just like to check everything. It's part of my OCD, part of my meticulousness that I have to check and make sure everything is good. The CPU, I need to do this with 2 hands. The CPU should not be staying in there. It's just held in my thermal paste right now. So I'm going to use 2 hands and make sure it doesn't drop out of there real quick. I can't really do this with my with 2 hands, but oddly enough, I am actually seeing, do you see that line? I don't know what that is, but I also noticed a piece of dust on the bottom of this that might interfere with one of these pads. So I'm going to clean up the bottom of this CPU, and I'm going to inspect all of those pins down there, and then we're going to put it back together and see if the problem is fixed. Okay, a good 30 minutes later, I took this off and I cleaned everything, and there's a motorcycle. It was a very, very meticulous thing to do, and it was not fun, but I did it. And I did notice there might have been something that was preventing the CPU from contacting the little pins that are on the motherboard. I don't know, maybe not, but we cleaned it off, and I inspected the pins, and I didn't see anything crazy, so I'm going to reinstall. I never really knew how tight to make this, but I assume you don't make it super tight, just snug. It ain't going anywhere anyways. All those little pins have to do is just barely touch the bottom of the CPU. So this is ready for thermal paste. The old thermal paste that I removed did seem a little thick. I don't know why. It was a little bit strange, but again, that's why you buy new paste, just to be just going to put a very generous glob in the center, and many people might tell me that that is way too much, but guess what? You can never be too generous. I want to make sure that that paste is going to get everywhere, and I have this outer piece as well to prevent it from spilling over, so I can be as generous as I want to be, and I can make sure that there won't be any paste not touching the CPU. This next part is a little bit of a tedious process because you want to line this up perfectly, so I'm going to do it with two hands, but you just want to gently set this down onto the these two studs right here, or screws. Yeah, just gently set it down so that you're lining up that directly down onto the paste and you're not moving it all over the place. I mean, it's going to get spread out anyway, so it's not a huge deal, but just put it as straight down as you can, and then we're going to tighten those two bolts evenly. As things normally go, it did not go as smoothly as I wanted it to. I had to line up these two screws, and I missed, so no big deal. Like I said, the paste is going to get spread out anyways, but now you just want to tighten these evenly, back and forth. Twist each one a couple of turns each time, and it's going to spread that paste over that CPU, and our cooler is reinstalled. I'm not going to show you the reverse order because that is really as difficult as it gets. Now it's basically just the reverse process of the way that you uninstalled everything. So put your fans back in and reattach those brackets, and then for me I have to reinstall my GPU, and then remember to plug your fan wires back into your PC case. I hope that this works. If it doesn't, then it's on to the next problem to try and solve. Anyways, I really hope that you enjoyed. I hope you learned something in this video. Working on PCs is a lot easier than you might think. You just gotta make sure that you do things properly. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the